Hi friends, here we are again with another video. This time I'll teach you the theory behind the 1 hour practice I've done of this drawing. Basically summarizing my mental processes in a tutorial for you to replicate and adjust based on the subject. For this exercise that you can do along with me, I will use mainly 4 colors that will be of great help in conveying that warm and cozy feeling of a sun-kissed skin. Those are Aurelian Yellow, Aussie Red Gold, Cadmium Red, and Windsor Violet. These are the protagonists of today's experiment. Before starting to experiment, I want to set 2 things. First, the direction and intensity of the light, and second, the surrounding. In this case, the light is coming from the left, with the right side of the face of our subject that has some light being poured into it, yet maintaining the center of the face cooler. The background is going to be purple, as the reference that I used, and a bit of the color from the environment is going to be poured, as anticipated, in the center of the face. When the light is strong, we have a game of reflecting lights going on. So basically the light bounces around and reflects and pours. A lot of things happen. Basically the light bounces from the environment and the objects in the environment to the subject, making some zones of the subject reflect the color in question. Complicated. Okay, imagine the light as a ball that bounces from the elements around the composition and then changes its color once it comes in contact with these elements, pouring their light into the subject. For the specific reference I've used, this is the mechanic. I hope that it's clear enough. If not, I'm sorry. Now, how do we do that in practice, since there's so much going on? I want you to plan with me, keeping in mind these elements. Light is coming from the left, so that will be our lightest side. But since it's not completely on the left and also a little behind, we want some warmness on the right side of the face too, making the center of the face our coolest side. At the center we have a purple, less saturated zone, so we need to find a way to go from the yellow of the light on the left to this purple without making mud on the paper. How to do so? If we switch directly from yellow to purple, it will result in a mousy color gray, and this is not the effect that we want. So how do we do that? We need an intermediate color that will have the transition to be richer, and that, my friend, is cadmium red and Aussie red gold to the closest side of the light. In order, we have to place yellow, Aussie red gold, cadmium red, and purple. Then for the right side, back again with cadmium red and Aussie gold. Okay, that seems reasonable. We have 2 possible ways we can go with it, and between wet on wet and wet on dry, I prefer the wet on dry technique. I want to place my colors down first, like a map, that I can refer to once I start shading and adding depth to the painting. If I were to use the wet on wet technique, the colors would blend too much, and since I need for them to stay a little bit more in place, I want to use the wet on dry. Once the colors are placed, I dry everything and I make sure that the paper is not wet, that if air comes in it moves the paints around, making what I explained before useless. And then I'm ready for the second layer. Now things are going to get interesting, and I want you to not panic because we're going to make a rather present mark, so the turning point, which will eventually represent the side of the face bending from the warm light to finally proceed towards the shadows. I'm treating this ball as if it was a face to help you visualize it better. So screw the mechanics of the sphere. Anyways, blend a little the line on both sides and pour the warmness towards the center of the face. If you feel like you want a more intense color, you can always drop in some color and blend it towards the right. I also drag it on the right side and blend the color. Now, an interesting part. Inside the face, we'll have some more defined and dark shadows. To create the perfect color for those, I use cadmium red and purple, creating this warm, dark and rich color that I layer on the darkest parts of the painting. So imagine the under eyebrow part on the eye region and the nose. Or maybe some lines that you want to define better and you don't know which color to pick. I will go for brown. Simply, you can use brown if you have it, but it's better to create your own colors, and this is the perfect color that you can pick, as it's a reflection of the colors that you have overall in the picture. Ideally, as I add details to the subject, I also want to pour some more light even on the center of the face where the purple layer is. I don't want to use purple anymore. The first layer is enough, in my opinion, to create that interest. You will notice that the color will dull and blend better with the rest of the face, and actually ends in creating an interesting effect that we wouldn't have if we painted everything orange and yellow or red. I also add my background that, as said, is going to be purple. And one interesting thing you can do to add some interest is pouring some of the light of the subject, so the yellow, into the background. As said, the light bounces everywhere and from everywhere, but our subject is also an element of the composition. One way to do so is, while the background is still wet, to drop in some yellow color. And you don't want the color you drop in to be of a too watery consistency for that, okay? Diluted, okay, but it doesn't have to be too wet compared to the wetness of the paper, or else it will create blooms. If you like blooms, okay, fine, go for it. If you don't, try to keep an eye on the overall wetness of the area. So you'll notice that it will push away the background color and leave an even lighter zone. Eventually, you can also leave the colors, as I did, because I clumsily went on the light with my darker color. And yeah, if you want to create even more contrast, then you can use either gouache or pastel pencils to do so. With gouache, you can color on top of even darker zones, and that's why we love gouache, our savior. And I use it sometimes to fix something that wasn't supposed to be in the shadows, or simply to erase a line. But its thick consistency is perfect to create those light accents that will really bring your painting to the next level. Pastel pencils are also good to create that light that bounces from the subject and pours into the background. I don't show them in the video, I just randomly remembered their existence and I decided to mention them. And voila! Here's our practice. As long as you're organized and with a little bit of practice, you can do even scary things like complex light environments, and which are very fun, in my opinion, done in a medium like watercolor, where you can have smooth blends of colors. If you enjoyed the video, you can support me by giving it a like, and that will help other people who, like you, want to learn watercolor to find me. And also let me know if you'll use this technique for your drawings or if you have other methods. It's always nice to share and learn something new, as I'm also constantly experimenting and learning. Again, guys, if you like this type of content, I want you to know that on my Patreon I have the complete portrait study I mentioned here, with a few comments to guide you as well, along with extra content that I don't post here. Usually I post 2 videos per month, along with some behind the scenes of my work, and for a small price you can support my journey and learn something new in return. Nice, isn't it? Alright, enough blabbering, I need to go bake banana bread. See you next time. Bye bye!